The stars above Kepler 452b seemed to dim as the Valoran war fleet arrived. Their massive ships blocked out the sun, casting long shadows across the green world below. On the planet's surface, 30,000 Altarian colonists looked up at the sky with fear in their hearts. Captain Daniel Morrison stood on the bridge of the United Earth Navy vessel Resolute, watching the scene unfold on his tactical display. His jaw tightened as he counted the enemy ships: 22 Valoran destroyers, 8 cruisers, and 1 massive dreadnought formed a ring of death around the peaceful colony. "How long have they been there?" Morrison asked his second-in-command. Lieutenant Lisa Baker checked her console. 3 days, sir. They've been broadcasting demands for surrender every hour. Morrison turned to face the main view screen. The image showed dozens of ships from different alien races, all maintaining safe distances from the conflict. They watched like vultures, recording everything but doing nothing to help. "And none of them have tried to stop this?" Morrison's voice carried a mix of anger and disbelief. "No, sir. 17 vessels from 5 different species. They're all just watching." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew the unwritten law of the galaxy: the strong take what they want, and everyone else stays out of the way. It had been this way for thousands of years. Communications Officer Jake Rodriguez suddenly looked up from his station. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the colony." "Put it through." A holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge. An elderly Altarian female, her blue-scaled face marked with worry lines, spoke with a trembling voice. "This is Governor Alara of New Haven Colony. We are peaceful farmers and scientists. We have no weapons, no military. The Valoran Empire demands we surrender our world and become their slaves. Please, if anyone is listening, we need help. Our children are crying. Our people are terrified. Someone, anyone, please help us." The transmission cut off. Morrison's hands gripped the command chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Sir," Rodriguez said quietly, "the other ships are discussing the transmission on open channels. Let me hear it." Different alien voices filled the bridge, translated by the ship's computer. The Altarians should have known better than to settle so close to Valoran space. "It's unfortunate, but this is how the galaxy works. We must maintain neutrality. Interference would set a dangerous precedent." Morrison slammed his fist on the armrest. "Enough. Cut the feed." Dr. Emma Johnson, the ship's science officer, spoke up. "Captain, I've been analyzing the situation. The Altarians have been sharing their agricultural technology with struggling worlds for decades. They've developed crops that can grow in almost any condition. They've saved millions from starvation, and now they're about to be enslaved while everyone watches," Morrison replied bitterly. On the planet below, young Peter Walsh hugged his sister Amy in their underground shelter. Their parents had sent them there when the Valoran ships first appeared. Around them, hundreds of other colonists huddled together, listening to the booming voices from the sky. "Surrender now, or face destruction," the Valoran commander announced. "You have 24 hours to comply." Peter's friend, Maria Santos, whispered, "Why isn't anyone helping us?" Her father, one of the colony's leaders, shook his head sadly. "Because that's not how the galaxy works, sweetheart. The strong do what they want." Back on the Resolute, Morrison received an encrypted message from Earth Command. Admiral Susan Carter's face appeared on his private screen. "Daniel, I know what you're thinking," she began. "The situation on Kepler 452b is being discussed at the highest levels. Admiral, we can't just sit here and watch this happen." Carter's expression was unreadable. "The Galactic Council has made it clear that intervention would violate established protocols. We're still new to the galactic community, Daniel. Acting rashly could isolate Earth politically. With respect, Admiral, what's the point of having this fleet if we don't use it to protect innocent people? I understand your frustration. Captain, stand by for further orders." The screen went dark. Morrison stood and walked to the observation window, staring out at the distant lights of the alien observer ships. Meanwhile, on the Valoran dreadnought Decimator, Supreme Commander Zethkar reviewed his battle plans. his reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. "The Altarians have something we need," he told his officers. "Their agricultural knowledge will feed our expanding empire. And once we control this world, we'll have a foothold in this sector." "What about the observers, Supreme Commander?" asked his tactical officer. Zethkar laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "They're cowards, all of them. They'll watch, they'll record, they'll debate in their councils, but they won't act. They never do." On the colony, a young teacher named Sarah Miller gathered her students in the shelter's makeshift classroom. She tried to keep their spirits up with stories and songs, but the fear in their eyes broke her heart. One little boy raised his hand. "Miss Miller, why doesn't anyone help us?" Sarah fought back tears. "I don't know, Tommy. I just don't know." As the hours passed, more ships arrived to observe. The space around Kepler 452b became crowded with vessels from across the galaxy, all maintaining safe distances, all watching the drama unfold. On the Resolute, the crew grew increasingly restless. They had joined Earth's Navy to make a difference, to explore the stars and protect humanity. Now they found themselves part of a silent audience to an atrocity. "This isn't right," muttered Ensign Kevin Brown at his weapons station. His supervisor, Lieutenant Commander Patricia Hughes, nodded grimly. "No, it's not. But orders are orders." As the 20th hour approached, the tension became unbearable. The Valoran ships began moving into attack formations. On the planet, families held each other close, preparing for the worst. Captain Morrison stood at the center of his bridge, watching the countdown timer. 4 hours remained until the Valoran deadline. His crew looked to him for guidance, for hope, for something, anything that would make sense of this cruel galaxy they had entered. The stars continued to shine, indifferent to the suffering below. The observer ships maintained their positions, their crews documenting every moment for their historical records. And on Kepler 452b, 30,000 innocent souls waited to learn their fate. In the cold depths of space, silence reigned supreme. It was the silence of a galaxy that had forgotten how to care, a universe where might made right, and where good people suffered while others simply watched. But sometimes, silence is just the calm before the storm. The war room aboard Earth's flagship Independence buzzed with activity. Admiral Susan Carter stood before a massive holographic display showing Kepler 452b and the surrounding ships. Red markers indicated Valoran vessels, while blue showed the observer fleet. A single green dot represented the Resolute. 3 hours until the deadline, reported Commander John Williams, checking his datapad. Our intelligence suggests the Valorans will follow through with their threat. Admiral Carter's gray eyes studied the display. She had commanded Earth's fleet for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The weight of humanity's future in the galaxy rested on her shoulders. "Show me the colony," she ordered. The display zoomed in, revealing the settlement of New Haven. Neat rows of hydroponic farms stretched across fertile valleys. Research stations dotted the landscape. Schools, homes, and community centers formed, the heart of a thriving civilization. Dr. Emma Roberts, the fleet's senior diplomat, entered the room. "Admiral, I've just finished speaking with the Galactic Council. They refuse to authorize any intervention." "Their exact words?" Carter asked. Roberts read from her tablet. "The Council regrets the situation but maintains that interference in sovereign disputes violates the Charter of Non-Intervention, established 3,000 years ago." Commander Williams shook his head. "So we just let 30,000 people die or become slaves?" "That's what they expect," Roberts replied. The Council representative said, and I quote, "Humanity must learn that the galaxy operates on different principles than Earth." Admiral Carter turned to face her senior staff. 20 officers from various departments had gathered for this crucial meeting. She saw doubt in some faces, anger in others, and determination in a few. "I want opinions," she said. "Speak freely." Captain Amy Chen of the battleship Defiance spoke first. "We have the firepower to stop this. Our battle group could take the Valoran fleet." "That's not the question." countered Captain Bill Foster from Strategic Planning. The question is whether we should. Acting now could make Earth an outcast. We'd lose trade agreements, diplomatic relations, maybe even face retaliation. Dr. James Park from the Science Division raised his hand. May I remind everyone what the Altarians have done for the galaxy? Their drought-resistant crops have saved 12 worlds from famine. Their water purification systems have helped billions. They share their knowledge freely, asking nothing in return. Noble intentions don't win wars, replied Security Chief Colonel Robert Black. If we act, we need to be prepared for the consequences. The Valoran Empire is powerful. They have allies. Admiral Carter listened as the debate continued. Her thoughts drifted to her daughter back on Earth, studying to be a teacher. What kind of galaxy would she inherit? One where the strong preyed on the weak while others watched? Or one where someone finally said, enough? On board the Resolute, Captain Morrison paced his ready room. The deadline clock showed 2 hours. 30 minutes, his door chimed. Enter. Lieutenant Baker stepped inside carrying 2 cups of coffee. Thought you could use this, sir. Morrison accepted the cup gratefully. What's the crew's mood? Angry, sir. Frustrated. They want to help. But we have our orders, Morrison finished. He stared out the window at the Valoran dreadnought. You know, Lisa, I joined the Navy to make a difference, to protect people. We all did, sir. My grandfather fought in World War II. He used to tell me stories about liberating concentration camps. He said the hardest part wasn't the fighting. It was knowing it had gone on for so long while the world did nothing. Baker set down her coffee. What are you saying, Captain? Before Morrison could answer, his communicator beeped. Admiral Carter to all command staff. Emergency meeting in 5 minutes. Back in the war room, Admiral Carter had made her decision. She stood tall, her uniform crisp, her expression resolute. I've spent the last hour reviewing our history, she began. Humanity's greatest moments haven't come from following the safe path. They've come from standing up for what's right, even when it's dangerous. She activated a new display showing Earth's history. The Underground Railroad, the Warsaw Uprising, the Berlin Airlift, peacekeepers in war zones. We've always been the ones who couldn't look away, she continued. When others said, it's not our problem, we said, yes, it is. Commander Williams stepped forward. Admiral, are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything, Commander. I'm ordering. Prepare the fleet for immediate departure. All 40 ships. A murmur ran through the room. Captain Foster protested, Admiral, the political ramifications. I'll handle the politics. Carter cut him off. Our job is to prevent a massacre. The Altarians have fed the hungry and healed the sick across the galaxy. Now they need help, and by God, they're going to get it. Dr. Roberts spoke carefully. The Council will condemn us. We could face sanctions, isolation. Then we'll face them, Carter replied. But we'll face them knowing we did the right thing. I won't have humanity's entry into galactic civilization marked by cowardice. She looked around the room, meeting each officer's eyes. I'm not ordering anyone to follow me who doesn't believe in this mission, but I'm going to Kepler 452b, with or without you. One by one, the officers straightened. Captain Chen was first. The Defiance is with you, Admiral. The Chicago stands ready, added Captain Tom Washington. Within minutes, every officer had pledged their ship. Admiral Carter felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best. Signal the fleet, she ordered. All hands to battle stations. Calculate jump coordinates for Kepler 452b. And Commander Williams? Yes, Admiral. Send a message to the Resolute. Tell Captain Morrison to be ready. The cavalry is coming. As the orders went out, the massive Earth fleet began to power up. 40 warships, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers, prepared for the jump that would change galactic history. On the Resolute, Captain Morrison received the message. A smile spread across his face as he read it aloud to his bridge crew. Cheers erupted from every station. All hands, this is the captain, Morrison announced over the ship's intercom. Prepare for combat operations. Earth has decided to remind the galaxy what humanity stands for. In the war room, Admiral Carter stared at the tactical display. One last time. The countdown showed 90 minutes. She thought of the families on Kepler 452b, the children in shelters, the scientists who had given so much to the galaxy. Commence jump in T-minus 60 seconds, she ordered. The die was cast. Humanity had chosen its path. For better or worse, the galaxy would never be the same. May history forgive us if we're wrong, Carter whispered, and may it remember us if we're right. The fleet jumped. Space itself seemed to tear open as 40 Earth warships burst from hyperspace around Kepler 452b. The brilliant flashes of their arrival lit up the darkness like a chain of supernovas. For the first time in 3 days, the silent tableau around the besieged planet shattered. On the Valoran dreadnought, alarm screamed. Supreme Commander Zethkar spun toward his tactical display, his yellow eyes wide with shock. "What is happening?" he roared. His sensor officer's claws shook as he worked. His console, "Supreme Commander, 40 vessels have just emerged from hyperspace. Configuration matches humans. It's the entire Earth expeditionary fleet." "Impossible," Zethkar's tail lashed. The humans wouldn't dare, but the evidence filled his screens. The Earthships moved with military precision, forming a protective wall between the Valoran fleet and the planet. Weapons powered up, shields raised, fighter squadrons launched from carriers. On the observer ships, chaos erupted. The Krellian science vessel Eternal Watcher nearly collided with a Thaxian diplomatic cruiser as both scrambled to move to safer positions. Captain Velix of the Centauri monitoring station stared at her display in disbelief. "They actually came," she whispered. "The humans actually came to fight." Her second officer's tentacles quivered with excitement. "Captain, should we withdraw to minimum safe distance?" "No," Velix replied, her voice filled with wonder. "Record everything. The galaxy needs to see this." Admiral Susan Carter stood on the bridge of the Independence watching her fleet deploy. Years of training showed in every movement. The destroyers Hampton and Chicago took point positions. The battleships Defiance and Thunderbolt anchored the center. Carriers Victory and Enterprise launched their fighter screens. "All ships in position, Admiral," reported her tactical officer. "Open a channel to the Valoran flagship," Carter ordered. "All frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, showing Supreme Commander Zethkar's reptilian face twisted in rage. "This is Admiral Susan Carter of the United Earth Navy," she announced, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "You are engaged in an unprovoked attack on a peaceful colony. You will cease hostilities and withdraw immediately." Zethkar's laugh was ugly. "You dare threaten the Valoran Empire? You pathetic mammals have been spacefaring for barely a century. We have ruled the stars for millennia. And yet here we are," Carter replied coolly. "You have 1 hour to begin withdrawal. This is your only warning. You'll regret this interference, human. When I'm done with these farmers, I'll turn my attention to Earth itself." The transmission cut off. Carter turned to her bridge crew. "Well, that went about as expected. Signal all ships weapons free, but hold fire unless fired upon. And get me Captain Morrison." On the Resolute, Daniel Morrison felt a weight lift from his shoulders as Admiral Carter's face appeared on his screen. "Good to see you, Admiral. Your timing is perfect. How's the situation down there, Daniel?" "The colonists are scared but holding together. Governor Alara has kept them calm, but they're running low on supplies in the shelters." "We'll get them out of there," Carter promised. "Maintain position and be ready to coordinate evacuation if necessary." "Understood, Admiral. And ma'am, thank you." Carter smiled. "Thank me when this is over, Captain." Around them, the observer ships buzzed with frantic communications. The galaxy's major powers held emergency sessions. On the Galactic Council's Mobile Command Center, Commissioner Thayek's 3 hearts beat rapidly as he watched the tactical display. "This is unprecedented," he declared to his staff. "The humans are actually prepared to fight. They're violating every principle of non-interference." His aide, Spindly Zarathi, spoke up. "Perhaps, Commissioner, it's time we question those principles." "Silence," Thayek snapped. "The Charter has maintained peace for 3,000 years. "No," the aide replied quietly. "It's maintained order. There's a difference. On Kepler 452b, the colonists watched the sky in amazement. Where once only enemy ships had loomed, now Earth vessels stood guard. In the shelters, children pressed against windows, pointing at the human ships. "Look, Mommy!" cried little Anna Walsh. "They have Earth flags." Sarah Miller, the school teacher, felt tears on her cheeks. "Someone came," she whispered. "Someone actually came to help us." The hour ticked by slowly. On every ship, human, Valoran, and observer, crews waited tensely. The deadline approached. 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5. With 1 minute remaining, Supreme Commander Zethkar made his choice. "All ships, attack formation," he ordered. "We'll teach these primates the price of defiance." But something unexpected happened. His weapons officer hesitated. "Supreme Commander, they outnumber us 2-1. Their technology appears more advanced than intelligence suggested." "I gave you an order. Sir, the humans have positioned their fleet perfectly. We'll take heavy losses." Zethkar's rage boiled over. "You dare question me?" He drew his sidearm and shot the officer. "Anyone else want to debate? No? Then prepare to attack." The deadline passed. On the Independence, Admiral Carter watched the Valoran ships begin to move. "They're not withdrawing," her tactical officer reported. Carter's expression hardened. "Then God help them. All ships, this is the Admiral. The Valorans have chosen war. Protect the colony, engage the enemy, show them why Earth builds warships." What followed would be remembered as one of the shortest battles in galactic history. The Valoran fleet, accustomed to bullying defenseless worlds, found themselves facing a coordinated, determined enemy. Captain Amy Chen of the Defiance led the charge. "Target their dreadnought. All railguns fire." The human ships moved like dancers in a deadly ballet. Destroyers harried the flanks. Cruisers pounded shields with particle beams. Fighters swarmed larger vessels, targeting weapons and engines. Captain Tom Washington of the Chicago called out targets with calm precision. "Vampire 6 is breaking formation. Light him up." The Valoran cruiser tried to flee. 3 human destroyers boxed it in, their coordinated fire overwhelming its shields in seconds. On the observer ships, crews watched in stunned silence. The humans fought with controlled fury, precise and merciless. But they targeted only weapons and engines, disabling rather than destroying when possible. Ambassador Maria Gonzalez aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmony opened communications with the other observers. "You're witnessing something historic. Humanity isn't just fighting, we're protecting. This is what we do." Commissioner Thayek watched his certainties crumble. The humans had broken every rule, violated every protocol, and yet they were winning. More importantly, they were right. As the battle raged, something stirred in the hearts of those watching. Perhaps the old ways weren't the only ways. Perhaps the galaxy had been waiting for someone to finally say, "Enough." The observer ships began to edge closer, their crews no longer content to merely watch. History was being made, and they wanted to bear witness. Change had come to the galaxy, and it wore humanity's flag. The battle for Kepler 452b exploded across space like a deadly fireworks display. Earth's warships moved with surgical precision, their weapons lighting up the darkness. The Valoran fleet, caught off guard by human tactics, struggled to respond. Captain Amy Chen gripped her command chair as the Defiance shuddered from enemy fire. "Damage report. Shields holding at 80%, her tactical officer replied. "Their weapons are strong, but our armor is better." Chen smiled grimly. "Return fire. Target their command ship's weapon arrays. Let's remove their fangs." Defiance's main guns roared. Tungsten railgun rounds, accelerated to incredible speeds, punched through Valoran shields like paper. The enemy dreadnought's starboard weapons exploded in brilliant flashes. Across the battlefield, Commander Jack Turner led Eagle Squadron from the carrier Victory. His fighters danced between enemy fire, too small and fast for the big ships to track. "Eagle 3 and 4, attack run on that cruiser's engines," Turner ordered. 5 and 6, cover them." The fighters swooped in, releasing their payload of smart missiles. The Valoran cruiser's engines erupted in blue flame, leaving it drifting helplessly. On the Independence, Admiral Carter watched the tactical display with keen eyes. The battle was going well, too well. Something felt wrong. "They're not fighting like themselves," she murmured. Commander Williams looked up. "Ma'am?" "The Valorans. They're known for complex formations, coordinated attacks. This is chaos. It's like they're—" She stopped, eyes widening. "Get me visual on their command ship's bridge, now." The screen zoomed in, showing the Valoran Dreadnought's command center through a damaged section of hull. Bodies lay scattered. Supreme Commander Zethkar stood alone at his post, frantically issuing orders that no one followed. He's lost control, Carter realized. His crew is in panic. Signal all ships. Press the advantage, but watch for desperation moves. Cornered animals are dangerous. Her instinct proved correct. Zethkar, seeing his fleet crumbling, made a fateful decision. "If I cannot have this world," he snarled. "No, on will." He activated his ship's planet killer weapon, a massive energy cannon designed to crack planetary crusts. Alarms screamed on every human ship. Captain Morrison on the Resolute reacted first. "All power to engines," he shouted. "Put us between that weapon and the planet." The Resolute surged forward, its engines straining. Other Earth ships followed, forming a living shield. But Morrison knew they couldn't absorb that much energy. "Sir, that weapon will go right through us and still hit the planet." "Lieutenant," Baker warned. Morrison's mind raced. Then he remembered something from the pre-mission briefing. "The weapon has a 5-second charge time. If we can hit it precisely during the charge sequence—" "The feedback would destroy their ship," Baker finished. "Exactly. Target that weapon. Wait for my mark." On the planet below, colonists watched in terror as the massive cannon began to glow. Parents clutched children. Scientists held hands. Governor, Alara stood tall, refusing to show fear. "Whatever happens," she told her people, "remember that someone cared enough to fight for us." The weapon charged. Energy crackled along its length. Morrison counted down. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The Resolute's precision strike hit perfectly. The energy weapon's charge reversed, flooding back into the Dreadnought's power core. "All ships break formation," Admiral Carter commanded. "Get clear." The Valoran Dreadnought exploded like a small star. The shock wave rippled outward, tumbling. Smaller ships. When the light faded, only debris remained where Zethkar's pride had once floated. The remaining Valoran ships froze. Without their leader, without their flagship, they had no will to fight. One by one, they powered down weapons and raised surrender signals. "Admiral," Communications Officer Nancy Kim reported, "the Valoran Fleet Commander is requesting terms." Carter straightened her uniform. "Put him through." A younger Valoran appeared on screen, his scales pale with fear. "I am Commander Vextor. Supreme Commander Zethkar is dead. We surrender." "Your surrender is accepted," Carter replied. "Power down all weapons. You'll be escorted out of the system. Any ship that makes an aggressive move will be destroyed." "Understood, Admiral. We never expected—" "Expected what, Commander?" Vextor's voice dropped. "We never expected anyone to actually fight for others. It's not done." "Well," Carter said, "humanity does things differently." As Earth destroyers moved to escort the defeated Valorans away, the observer ships crept closer. Their crews had witnessed something unprecedented. Not just a victory, but a fundamental challenge to galactic order. On the Centauri monitoring station, Captain Velix made a decision that would echo through history. Open a channel to the Earth flagship. Her crew gasped. Observer ships never communicated with combatants. It wasn't done. "This is Captain Velix. Admiral Carter, what you've done today, it changes everything." Carter appeared on her screen. "Captain Velix, are you here to criticize our interference?" "No, Admiral. I'm here to thank you. We've watched injustice for too long, telling ourselves it wasn't our concern. You've shown us another way." One by one, other observer ships joined the communication. The Thaxian diplomatic cruiser, the Krellian science vessel, even Commissioner Thayek's command center. The Galactic Council will need to discuss this, Thayek said carefully. The Charter of Non-Intervention may need revision. Dr. James Park, monitoring communications, whispered to Admiral Carter. They're actually considering changing 3,000 years of policy. Carter nodded. Sometimes it takes an outsider to show insiders what they've become blind to. On Kepler 452b, evacuation, ships began landing. Families emerged from shelters, blinking in the sunlight. Children ran to windows, watching Earth fighters patrol their skies. Captain Morrison landed the Resolute near the main colony. He walked down the ramp to meet Governor Alara, who waited with tears streaming down her scaled cheeks. Captain Morrison, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Your people. You saved us. Why? Morrison looked up at the sky, where Earth ships stood guard. Because it was the right thing to do. Because someone had to say enough. Because that's what humans do. We protect those who need protecting. The news spread quickly through quantum communications. On 100 worlds, beings who had lived in fear began to hope. The galaxy's bullies suddenly felt less confident. The observers began to question their passive role. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, ancient members found themselves facing a new reality. The humans hadn't just won a battle. They had challenged the fundamental order of civilization. As the sun set on Kepler 452b, casting golden light across the saved colony, the galaxy held its breath. Everything had changed in the span of 90 minutes. The age of passive observation was ending. The age of intervention had begun. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler 452b, the Galactic Council convened its largest assembly in 1,000 years. Representatives from every major civilization filled the Great Hall on Neutral Station 0. At the center of attention stood a lone human figure, Ambassador Maria Gonzalez. The chair recognizes Earth's representative, announced Commissioner Thayek, his voice carrying none of its former certainty. Maria stepped forward, her head held high. Members of the Council, Earth will not apologize for protecting innocent lives. We invite others to join us in this principle. The galaxy is vast enough for both tradition and compassion. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Altarian delegate rose, her blue scales shimmering with emotion. The human action saved 30,000 of my people. For 3 days we begged for help. Only Earth answered. Today, Altair formally requests an alliance with humanity. What followed shocked the ancient council. The Cetian Federation stood next. Cetus seconds this motion. We've watched too many worlds suffer while we debated protocol. One by one, delegations rose. The Proximan Commonwealth, the Betelgeuse Trading Union, the Andromedan Science Collective. Within an hour, 17 civilizations had allied with Earth. Commissioner Thayek watched his orderly galaxy reshape itself. The Charter of Non-Intervention has guided us for 3 millennia, he said slowly. But perhaps guidance can become a cage. Earth has shown us we forgot something vital. Compassion requires courage. On Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Carter received the news with satisfaction. The political isolation they'd feared hadn't materialized. Instead, humanity had become a rallying point for change. Captain Morrison entered her office, a smile on his weathered face. Admiral, we're getting flooded with applications. Dozens of species want to train with our fleet. They're calling us the Guardian Fleet now. Carter leaned back in her chair. It's a good name. We'll need to expand our training programs. The galaxy's watching us now, Daniel. We've set a precedent. Any regrets, Admiral? She looked out at the stars. None. We did what humans do best. We stood up for those who couldn't stand for themselves. Back on Kepler 452b, life had returned to normal, but with profound changes. Earth engineers helped strengthen the colony's defenses. Human teachers shared knowledge with Altarian scientists. Most importantly, the children no longer looked at the sky with fear. Young Tommy, who had asked his teacher why no one helped them, now played with toy spaceships bearing Earth's flag. His teacher, Sarah Miller, watched with a smile as he showed other children how the humans had saved them. Miss Miller, Tommy asked during class, will the humans always protect us? Sarah knelt beside him. The humans taught the galaxy something important, Tommy. They showed everyone that we should protect each other. Now many people want to be guardians too. Across the galaxy, the ripples of change spread. The Vyloran Empire, shaken by its defeat, underwent massive reforms. Commander Vextor, now Supreme Commander, signed peace treaties and opened trade routes. He kept a human advisor on his staff, learning new ways of leadership. Pirate raids decreased dramatically. Aggressive empires reconsidered expansion plans. The mere possibility that Earth's fleet might appear changed calculations everywhere. On the anniversary of the battle, memorials rose on 100 worlds. But the greatest monument wasn't built of stone or steel. It was built of changed minds and opened hearts. Dr. Emma Johnson, now head of Earth's diplomatic corps, addressed the newest class of interstellar ambassadors. We didn't just bring military strength to the galaxy. We brought an idea that the strong have a duty to protect the weak, that conscience matters more than protocol, that sometimes doing right is more important than doing what's expected. In the depths of space, Earth's expanded fleet patrolled shipping lanes and visited threatened colonies. Their presence alone often prevented conflicts. The guardian role suited humanity well. Commissioner Thayek, in his final speech before retirement, summed up the transformation. For 3,000 years we watched. We recorded. We remained neutral. Then humans arrived and asked a simple question. Why? We had no good answer. They showed us that observing suffering without acting makes us complicit. The galaxy is better for their courage. On Earth, children learned about the Battle of Kepler 452b in school. They learned that their species had chosen compassion over safety, action over observation. They learned that humanity had found its purpose among the stars. The message echoed through space, translated into 1,000 languages. No one dared interfere until Earth's war fleet arrived, and the galaxy would never be silent again.